Welcome, everyone. We're back here in another Pulse training session in the Guardian Alliance. We've come full circle through our wave spell dance, going through each of the 13 days and moving through each of the archetypes with special guests and having fun, and sometimes just me downloading you guys for a nice, good hour. But today, we're back at the Warrior. And in this Warrior session today, we're going to be deeply diving in and exploring the nature of the physics of martial arts. How does the mind and the body interconnect to enable us to move and to act and to express our physicality in a way that is artistic, in a way that aligns with the song of force and essence and chi inside of us? And so for this session, I couldn't think of anybody better to bring in than my good friend Riff. Ryan Riff Parks is the leader and creator of a program called Kung Flow. And Kung Flow is a system that he's created that enables people to actually interconnect what's going on up here with what's going on in here. And he's used different techniques, and actually lightsaber training techniques in particular, to help people with different issues like PTSD, different kinds of self-development therapy and self-awareness therapy, to help people get back on their feet, come back into their core, and get to know who they are. So welcome, Ryan. Just want to acknowledge you and see you, and thank you so much for joining us here today.
Cool. Thank you. Are you reading me?
Yes. Loud and clear.
Awesome. Awesome. First time on Zoom. Long time listener, first time caller.
So please tell us all just a little bit more about your work. Give us a little bit of an idea of what it is that you do and the kind of people that you help and the way that you approach your work.
Okay, the easiest way in here is probably through the origin story. And so I went to Burning Man in 2003 and saw fire spinning for the first time and thought it was pretty cool, especially the staff, because I grew up a ninja and a big Star Wars fan. And so in 2003, there weren't, any other contact staff practitioners, so I had to bumble around on my own for quite a while. And I'm really glad that happened, because after about a year of studying the staff alone, I managed to achieve mediocre. And it was fun, though, and that's all that mattered. But then one day I wanted to see if I could mix the poi, which is the fireball on the end of the chain, with the staff. And I went up to my secret Mount Heidi spot to try to train. And it was just absolutely disastrous for like 3 hours. It was a ridiculous amount of wrapping the chain around the staff and then pulling it into my face repeatedly. And just as I was about to rage, it was, I didn't know this at the time, but when you hit yourself in the bridge of the nose, it releases all your adrenaline. So it was seriously like this close to rage quit. But then it's funny because I heard this very still small voice go, "Why don't you just say that it's easy?" And at the time, I thought that was like the weirdest thing ever, because I grew up a redneck in Oregon playing football, and I didn't really have a lot of those experiences. But the thing was that I was alone, I was in the mountains, and I was like, okay, fine, this is easy. And that exact moment, it all unlocked. And I started spinning the staff and the poi together like I had been doing it for lifetimes. And all of these really advanced, high-level, interconnected moves just started flowing out of me as if I'd been doing them forever. And it was the weirdest experience. I was performing this set that didn't even exist at the time, and I'm watching myself do it effortlessly and efficiently. And it was, I gotta be honest here, it felt like I was downloading Kung Fu straight out of the Matrix.
Yeah.
And so I kept doing that for a couple of hours because it was so much fun. It was just such a soul-satisfying experience.
Yeah.
And then I sat down and I started thinking about, why did that even work? What just happened there? Why was I flailing for hours and then all of a sudden I'm just rocking? So After a long, like years of reverse engineering, what I figured out is that by saying this is easy, I had actually manually engaged the power of the subconscious mind. And so instead of just trying to learn it from the conscious mind, my subconscious mind, which as it turns out, the best metaphor is to think of your brain like a computer. You know, we have two drives that we're aware of, at least. There's the conscious mind that we're talking with right now, but then we also have this subconscious drive that's currently beating our heart, pumping our lungs, cleaning our blood, et cetera, et cetera. And so that thing is just massively powerful. Like it's rocking 120 trillion operations every second. And so when you get the two of them working in synchronicity, in perfect harmony, you create something that we call the superconscious drive. And we call it that because it sounds cool. But basically what it is that you have the drive of the conscious mind along with the incredible horsepower of the subconscious mind. And for a machine that's rocking 120 trillion operations a second, just weaving those two disparate objects together is not very hard. And so once I started clicking into that, I got really excited and I started exploring all of these really advanced Kung Fu tools like three-sectional staff. And that happened like that. And I'm sorry if this sounds arrogant, that's not my intent. I just want to share with you something that's been really valuable for myself and other people now. And then it was like, wait, I can get two of these three-sectional staffs. And it took like 2 weeks from the time that I bought two of them to the time that I was on stage performing with them at large events. Because you just, as it turns out, we're all massively powerful. We all have this incredible, like borderline miraculous level of raw processing power. We're just running an operating system that frankly hasn't been updated since Jesus was on the Geek Squad. So yeah, seriously, we're running an operating system that hasn't even had a patch since the Bronze Age. And the thing is that we're the first people, we're the first generation to fully integrate computer technology into our daily lives. And so we're the people capable of even having the conversation of, does our brain have an operating system? And yes, it does, or it wouldn't operate. And the great news is that the hardware that we already have installed is just phenomenally off the charts powerful. So as we learn to fine tune the mechanisms that interface our mind and our body, we're all going to level up so high, so fast. And what's cool is that what you learn through the study of the sword, you can then apply to everything else you do in life. And that's the part that I'm super excited about because as Adam referenced, I'm an addiction and trauma therapist first and foremost. Like that's my whole reason for being on the planet. And so the cool thing is that once you recognize that PTSD is a software issue, even something as gnarly as a heroin addiction, that's just a self-replicating virus program that can be easily overridden with a stronger thought form. So that's the stuff that I'm really excited about sharing with people. And we're getting close to the point where we're going to finally be able to launch everything. So I think I did that on one breath. Remind me to breathe.
breathe, man. Yeah, no, that's a beautiful introduction. I'm so glad you took the time to sort of onboard people through the journey into the work that you do, because again, this is the process as a guardian, right? That we talk about in the Guardian Alliance a lot, is opening up into a new set of gifts, recognizing you have a capacity to enact a certain innate talent that's inside of you, and a process and the energy of programming and connecting your mind and your emotion and your body complex to being able to fulfill that gift and do that. And then once you start experiencing it and you start sharing it with people, then it's really about figuring out how you're offering it to others. What are you going to do to support other people? How are you going to be a guardian for the community of the people of planet Earth and support them in coming into that strength and into that gift in themselves? So in this process, Riff, I really hear you taking us on that journey from where you're like, you know, whacking yourself in the face to, I have the capacity to do this, to I have the capacity to share this. And I just want to acknowledge, also in what you said, that you're wanting to ramp this up. You're wanting to build this to another level. You're wanting to open this up in a whole new way. But even before that happens, I want to acknowledge you for the work that you have been doing for years and years and years, training people and helping people and supporting people with these different kinds of trauma and addiction issues and changing people's lives. Because, as much as we love to impact the masses, the real powerful changes often happen in small groups of people, as you know, and with one-on-one interactions, when we can really, really show up and go deep with people. So tell us a little bit more. I mean, I know about some of the kinds of events and experiences that you've put together, but tell us a little bit more about the kinds of spaces you might bring people into, and how you might approach this process of training them to develop their conscious mind programming.
Well, I totally, absolutely hear you and agree. I've been doing a ton of one-on-one work. That's how I've made my living, other than the fire performing, and that's great. But I feel like right now we have this massive opportunity for a full-on global shift. I feel like people are really fed up. They're seeing through the old ways that were unsustainable and frankly unfair. And so I feel like now it's really about taking as many people on that hero's journey as possible, and not even taking them. That sounds really presumptuous. It's offering them the ability to set themselves on that path, because all you need really is a stick. A staff really is the master teaching tool, because it will show you everything about yourself. And so what I would like to offer as many people as possible is a chance to go on Joseph Campbell's hero's journey in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Really, honestly, we can use math and science to prove that everyone has a superhero level of raw processing power.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me now, it's about creating something, a project, a presentation that can scale out exponentially with nothing needed other than an internet connection.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I do love the one-on-one work, because you can go in and fine-tune someone's life so much more powerfully when you're directly across from them. Because it's basically, again, with using the personal computer as the metaphor for the mind, we're all massively powerful, but we've all picked up malware and viruses along the way. And once you understand how easy it is to rewire those processes, then it's super fun, because other people's problems are super easy. They're like coloring books, because they're not your problems. Our guilt and shame keep us from looking at ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So now what I would like to do is offer people this training program, which, by the way, it's up for free right now on kungflow.com. Totally free, top to bottom, no charge, no obligation. But then beyond that, I want to create a fictional overlay where a person can take their favorite meme, whether it's X-Men, Avengers, Harry Potter, or Assassin's Creed, or what's that movie with the guys with the light swords? Excalibur. Yeah, we want to basically give people a way to play their life like their favorite superhero.
Mm-hmm.
And that is currently up online at thedigitalredpill.com. And that's basically a meta meme that combines all the heroic memes.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing too is that sometimes doing this self-work is not fun, because I don't know if you're anything like me, I got a bunch of stuff in my past that I'm not proud of, but I had to go in and honestly assess it and be like, wow, I was really self-destructive. And sometimes my self-destructive side inflicted something upon another person, and I need to go apologize to them and make whatever restitution.
Mm-hmm.
And so doing is framing it all as we're part of a super secret mission of superhero medics. Yeah, healers and teachers here to help get the world back on track. And so what I found myself is that if I stopped playing the warrior and started playing the war ender, my life was so much more fun, because this way it wasn't about being able to overpower somebody with my fist. It was about being able to empower them with their own greatness. So that's a major shift for me, is changing my archetype from warrior, which was great because it got me through tough times, to now I identify as a war ender. I'm part of the rebel. That makes me happy, and that makes me feel like what I'm adding to the planet is purely positive.
Beautiful. Yeah. And in the Guardian Alliance, as much of this crew knows, you know, the archetypal balance and energy that we hold in polarity is the warrior healer archetype. And so, you know, David Beaudry, who helped to craft the Mastery Ring 1 courses, you know, he really dove into both in order to be able to teach that line of energy, the red and the green. Just as, you know, Alex dove into orange and blue, and I dove into yellow and purple to like create those anchors. And the warrior healer in specific archetype is really so important for us to understand in terms of getting to know our bodies and our relationship with each other. Because when it comes down to it, we're talking about how do you engage your physical flow? How do you flow inside your body? How do you experience your body? And, you know, a lot of warrior training or war ending training or strengthening training, any kind of training that you're doing to empower and strengthen and develop your body, you're often, you know, pushing it to its edge. You're pushing it to its limits. You're going to be stressing your muscles in order to enable them to grow. You're going to be seeing if you can go faster, you know, which is going to stress your tendons and your veins, things like that. So as that's happening, you have to also have the connection with your body to then care for those muscles that are growing, you know, and care for those tendons. And that's the self-care aspect of the healer. But then, you know, as you were saying, as you develop the skill to work a sword or to weave a staff or to do different kinds of martial arts moves, well, as your skill improves in that and you have more and more capacity to hurt somebody else, you also have to become more and more responsible with how you hold that power and how you use that power in the world and how that is engaged with other people, which again is heart chakra, it's healer. It's all about understanding your relationship to others in how you're bringing forward this force. And this really gets us down into the heart of the topic that I want to explore more with you today, which is about the physics of martial arts. Because inside of martial arts, inside of the movements, there's not just an experience of I'm going to move my body, and so I am moving my body. There's not just like, okay, fist go. You know, if you go into a Taekwondo class, that's probably what they tell you. They look at this thing, you're going to take your arm, you're going to move from your waist, and you're going to extend your arm, and you're going to punch. I remember my Taekwondo classes when I was like, you know, 6 years old, and it was so irritating to me. I just felt like it was the most stupid way to approach movement, because the idea was that like you're going to do these different blocks, you know, and you're going to put your arms just like this, and you're going to kick just like this, you know, and even the black belts, they're just like, they look like robots. And I'm like, well, that's not how the body wants to move. The body wants to be set free. The body wants to express and feel and respond to its environment. It wants to be fluid. It wants to open. We're not robotic, stiff jointed things. And if you're in a situation in which you have to move quickly and dynamically, then your sense of, oh, I need to stay rigid and tight and hard is not going to allow that energy to flow. And we learn that most deeply through relationships. So we learn that experience when we're actually connecting and talking to somebody else. Because if you talk to somebody else and you're speaking staccato and you are moving in a stiff way, then they feel like you are not actually being there and you're not authentic. You're not actually flowing. You're not letting yourself relax and allow the energy to move. And, you know, unless you're doing the robot while you're dancing or something, you know, you're also going to be having that experience moving in your body, where the more you try to stiffly think of the next thing that you're going to do, the more you're actually loading up, as Ryan would say, your conscious processing system with the thoughts of what you're doing, which is then actually creating block for the unconscious and your innate sort of deeper programming system to flow and to actually express what it is that's inside of you to come through. So I'm going to pass it back to you, Ryan, if you want to elaborate on that and dive in a little bit more to the self-programming stuff.
Yeah, so thanks, Adam. So one thing, just to be hyper clear about our whole side of things and the viewpoints, there's a meme going around right now that shows I believe, a samurai in a garden, and there's this statement that says, "Why are you training with your sword in this garden?" And the answer is that it is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And right now we live in a world that's not safe. Like, it's just not. I live in one of the nicest parts of LA, and I heard gunshots the other night. And so while, you know, the archetypal elevation program is definitely to go to war ender, to go to healer, it also seems advisable to be in touch with your body, so that, you know, first case, run. Anytime there's a fight, you can run from it, do it. No one ever really wins a fight, but sometimes you might be required to protect yourself. And it is extremely advantageous to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And so, especially, Adam, with what you're talking about, I'm not a martial artist, but I was a college football player, and I was a bar bouncer, head of security for quite a while. So I've had my share of physical altercation. And the thing that I think people, especially in our video game age, is that people think that it is going to be this very Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, we're going to stand up and strike each other from a distance, and if you can push up, up, down, down, left, right fast enough, you'll hit the perfect block and it'll be pretty. And folks, that is not the case. Real fights are messy. They make no sense. People do weird things. And if you try to throw the perfect punch, you're going to get hit 5 times by the time you set your hips. And so just on that note, I would highly recommend taking something that is not loaded with dogma and tradition about the right way and wrong way, because the right way is survive. Now, to that end, our conscious mind, again, has to take a little longer to process than the rest of our subconscious. Our subconscious is the thing that when you open the cabinet door and the mug falls out and you grab it before you even know it, you would really rather operate from that place when you're protecting yourself or making other high-level decisions. And so that's really, like, we don't get into any sort of fighting. I don't teach any strikes whatsoever. It's all spinning, but the goal is to tap you into your subconscious so that you can react from that drive, because it's more powerful and it's going to process on a level that the conscious mind can't keep up with. And hopefully it will give you the comedy skills to talk yourself out of a fight before it happens. That's a big part of what we do too, is conflict resolution and assessing and ascertaining situations and diffusing them before it gets physical, which is really, honestly, your best bet. If you can help someone calm down, get out of rage mode, and help them see your position, that's actually the only way to truly win a fight. You know,
yeah.
Is there anything in particular, Adam, that you would like expounded upon?
Yeah. Do you want to just take our crew here and the rest of our watchers in the Guardian Alliance who will catch the recording just through the basic process? So you said briefly previously, you know, that you picked up a staff and you told yourself this is easy, and you suddenly found that moving that object was easier. But let's unpack that a little bit more. And I'm happy to go deeper into it too, if you want, but let's talk about that. Like, And what are these kinds of commands that you give to yourself as you're moving in your practices to let yourself know that doing a certain thing is possible and to give the body the freedom to have that expression?
Okay, so I'm going to give you a super geeky, highly technical explanation that might not make sense to some people.
We got a lot of wizards on the live session with us, so feel free to go.
Yeah, I am highly aware that anybody who's in this particular circle is probably pretty close to the front lines of consciousness, because you're not exactly putting up real estate on the Jersey Shore here. So, but also it's kind of far out there. But also in the field of robotics, there's something called the uncanny valley. And that's when you see a android that has an AI in it, and the skin and emotional reactions are so lifelike, and the AI is so strong that it can become repulsive. And so we found that there is something similar that we're calling the uncanny mountain. When you start talking about the brain as a processor, sometimes that resistance to "I am not a robot" can create a push away program, and I don't want that to happen. So hence the preamble. So basically what we've found is that when you speak to yourself, your voice comes out of your mouth in your exact operating language at your exact frequency, and it goes out through your mouth and into your ear, closing a circuit, creating a self-amplifying feedback loop that engages the power of the subconscious mind. And so that all sounds well and good. Maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. So what we do is we put a bow staff in your hand and show you some really mind-blowing moves. Like you start the staff way over here, you roll it, and it ends over in this hand, and it feels like magic because of the speed and ease with which you assimilated this new move. And so what happens at that point is that you create what's called a belief engine. And a belief engine is a purely hypothetical machine that actually works in the cognitive realm, because in the cognitive realm, whatever you believe to be true is. If you think you're a super confident person who can walk up to anybody, no matter how attractive or powerful, and have an engaging conversation with them, you certainly can, because that's your choice. If you think that you're weak and prone to eating too many cupcakes on a Tuesday, that is what will happen because you're creating that. And so by showing these advanced staff moves and then watching yourself perform these skills minutes later, that gives you what we call the pop, and that stands for proof of progress. If you can see the advanced accelerated progress happening in the physical, you'll believe it in the cognitive, and everything is in the cognitive. Something especially for this crowd I'd like to really, really drill down on. All physical skill originates inside the mind. Yeah, something simple as throwing a ball back and forth, that's a software. And so it's not necessarily about athletic ability as much as it's about cognitive ability. If you want to dunk a basketball from the free throw line, I'd suggest being really tall and having a bunch of fast twitch muscle fiber. But if you want to juggle, or if you want to do kick-ass light sword moves, that's all cerebral. And then if you optimize the mind state, the physical skills automatically accelerate. So that's what we do, is give you a chance to prove to yourself how ridiculously awesome you are. And then what happens is that as you learn how to do it on staff, you then transfer it over to your Taekwondo or MMA or chess or TPS reports or whatever else it is that you're doing in life. Because is a cognitive process first. And that's the part that we're really excited about, because there's all these geeks and nerds out there who have these really great lives going. They've got awesome software jobs, but they might not have the significant other yet, or the self-confidence that comes along with knowing that you can handle yourself in almost any arena. That's what I'm really, like, all these couch-locked gamers who can hit a 27-hit combo on their light sword video game, you're actually going to be able to do that in real life with a real light sword. That's what's exciting for me.
And it's certainly awesome to watch and to experience somebody feeling that and moving that way and experiencing their bodies doing something that they've only seen like on a movie, or it's just been in their imagination. And you know, I want to touch on something that you were getting at there, which is there's also this other layer that conscious feedback loop that you're talking about is sort of rewriting, which that other layer is the part of us that is in our conscious mind oftentimes when we're starting something new, when we're a beginner, you know. But I hand somebody a sword for the first time and they're just like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, how does it, you know, do I like wave it around? Like what happens? Like, I don't know how this works, and whoa, this could be dangerous. Or they tell themselves in their heads, like, I've never done this before. I don't know how to do this. What if I look stupid? Like, all of these things that your conscious mind starts kind of injecting as programs are really the main block between you know, where you are with no idea, with zero mind, basically Zen mind, and where you are with like full capacity, full skill, total ability to do it, and also Zen mind. And there's this in between space where you've got all these little things, little blocks, little shields inserted. And what Riff's talking about is basically through saying, taking the sword and saying, this is comfortable, moving it a little bit and saying, this is easy, this flows with my body so well. And then as you start to move it better and a little bit more dynamically, you say, you know, I'm moving this from my core. That's one of the ones I like from my students too. Like, I feel this moving from my core. I love that I can move this without thinking. I can do this faster. I am faster than this. I am faster than this. And keep pushing it until you're actually experiencing yourself moving faster, more fluidly, more confidently, more coherently. And the feedback loop, there is a conscious kind of processing upgrade thing that goes on where your body is sort of accepting the new program and trying to overwrite the old one. So there's like this little delay in that space while you're doing the process. But then after that delay, what I hear you talking about, Riff, is that moment of the pop, right? The moment where you start doing it and all of a sudden it's just like, you know, and you're just like, oh my God, yes, like I just did it. I felt it, you know, I got the proof, you know, what'd you call it? Proof of what?
Proof of progress.
Proof of
Pop.
progress. I got really the pop. I love that, man. That's so awesome. So you get that proof of progress, and then it's like, boom, you've planted a flag. You have a marker. And I know for me and my personal experience with martial arts and self-development over the years and sword play and staff play and things like that, that, you know, that hump is really what it was all about. And for me, I had these states, moments of realization. Like, my proof of progress was my moments of realization that some part of me already knew how to do this, and that I'd already practiced this 1,000 times, or I'd already done this move. And so as I'm doing the form, I'm like watching myself do this very specific Shaolin tiger form that I never learned, and I never had a teacher show me. And I didn't watch lots of Kung Fu movies as a kid. That was not my thing. But here I just did this. And then sometimes I witness the form come out and I'm like, wow, that was awesome. And then I don't even know what kind of martial arts it is. I don't even know where it came from. I've had certain forms and moves from, you know, certain processes in Aikido to certain forms in Shaolin Kung Fu, especially certain moves in ninjutsu that I didn't even know what those forms were. I had no idea. But then I ended up going to a class or seeing a teacher, and he's showing, you know, that's like, you know, this very specific, like, grab, hook the arm, you know, pull or push, like tiger, Shaolin move, and I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I was doing and what I was practicing. So to take what you were saying to a deeper level, it's also a reminder that part of you, that some of you already contains the information that you need in order to do the moves. You're unlocking this wellspring of inner wisdom inside of you.
Yeah, man, there's like 4 or 5 super important hyperlinks in what you just talked about. The first one is the limiting self-belief programs. That's the thing that Jade Lightweaver was talking about, that inner dialogue, that's the thing that messes us up. Like, the thing that I know after working with myself for so long and now so many other people, I was the rec therapist at a dual diagnosis rehab for high-risk teens, and basically 10 kids a day, open laboratory to explore whatever I wanted. It was awesome. Wow. So basically every single one of us, like, I have not met a person who at the end of the day, at the core of their operating system, their command line says, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Like that, over and over and over again. Like 99% of the people that when we dive deep on this, we all come to like, wow, I don't think I'm good enough. I don't feel like I'm worthy. And this program is I think endogenous is the right that I am here.
Oh shoot, we're losing you a little bit, man. Got a little signal loss there. Maybe you might have to go back and just repeat that, because we just lost you for a sec.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. Good. Verizon got their tag. So basically, what it comes down to is that for some reason we all rock this code called "I'm not good enough," "I'm not worthy," and we push away the things that we want. Like, I moved to Los Angeles to be a screenwriter and an actor, and a friend of mine ended up being a reader for a super powerful agent, and she took my first script to this super powerful producer, and he said, I want to make your film. And I said, I'm going to need to think about that. I was a cater waiter making like $15 an hour slinging sandwiches, and I need to think about if I want to make a film or not. But my mind was so broken from all the abuse that I had endured as a child. Don't be a geeky, bookie, skateboard kid in a farm town, just saying. So I got beat up a lot, and that broke my mind. And I thought that I wasn't worthy. And I pushed away so many amazing things that would have been so good for me, because subconsciously, underneath it all, like running minimized, was this program called I'm Not Worthy. I got lost as a kid at a campground, and I'm walking around lost for an hour, and I hear all these people going, Ryan, where are you? And my thought was, wow, some other kid named Ryan got lost too. Yeah, that's how deep this thing can run. And it's pretty much worldwide. Like here in Southern California, we have a water shortage. Right that way, less than 1.5 miles is an ocean with 176 quintillion gallons of water. But we're in a water shortage.
Yeah.
We can put a controlled truck on Mars. It'll take selfies and shoot them back at us, but we can't get water. We can't get salt out of seawater. So this is what's going on with us as a species, is that we're constantly pushing away the things that are good for us. That's the thing that I'm so excited about with the staff, is because all of these little personalized versions of that, like the little self-sabotages that almost all of us do, it basically gives you a way to externalize it through the motions. Like there's a move called the Steve. You start it up here, it rolls around your arm, rolls around your neck, and then spirals up to this arm. And it's a beautiful move because once you get it, it taps you straight into the flow state. Once you feel the flow of being able to do that, you have that Neo, like, whoa, I'm gonna come through. You have that moment, which is a total game changer. But the process of getting there, you will actually sabotage yourself a bunch along the way, and you can see it happening. And because it's been externalized and most importantly, depersonalized, you can look at it honestly and objectively and go, hey, I'm sabotaging myself. And then the next step is like, where else am I doing that in my relationships or my career or my education or my driving? And that's the part, once you strip away those limiting self-belief programs, you start rocketing forward in everything that you do. Because again, the hardware that we already have installed is just off the charts powerful. If we strip out the malware and the limiting self-belief programs, we're capable of pretty much anything within reason, and some things that frankly aren't within reason. That's what I'm super excited about exploring, is we have all the power we need right now. No hardware upgrade whatsoever. Just clean up the operating system, create better pathways, more self-confidence. You will just, whatever it is you want to do in life, you'll get exponentially better at. You had a bunch of other, yeah. And as far as you were talking about downloading those tiger forms,
yeah.
Epigenetics, like I'm not even remotely qualified to speak on epigenetics, but the stuff that I'm reading about is so exciting, because they're saying that like all of our ancestors' study and work and application is probably buried within our DNA. And how cool is that, knowing how many of your ancestors were warriors? You know, it's pretty much one of the primary jobs on this planet. So somebody in your past had a sword in their hand, and somebody had a stick in their hand. And who's to say you can't tap straight into that memory bank and call it out and put it to use now?
Yeah.
I had a similar experience where I was spinning my staff, and I have zero martial arts in my background. And the next thing I knew, I spun it straight armed and flipped all the way over through a perfect snap kick at the 12 o'clock position and stuck the landing. And I came down and I'm like, where did that come from? What just happened there? Because it was an advanced move, and I didn't even plan on doing it.
Yeah.
I think what happens when we watch the Kung Fu movies, I think that the kinetics get seeded into our subconscious, which can solve all of the proprioception of arm goes here, leg goes here, this amount of velocity on lift, turn. I think it can do all that stuff effortlessly.
Yeah.
And it's us getting in the way, saying we can't, is the only thing holding us back.
Yeah. And I loved what you said about going beyond reason, right? Because why do we have to be able to reason why, or so we can do, or how we can do something or not?
There are times when I'm working with people one-on-one when I will have them try a skill set that is just massively beyond where they're at. And I do it for a couple reasons. One, I want them to learn the art of being okay with failing. Like, there's no such thing. The only time you fail is when you quit doing something worthwhile. That's the only way to fail. Everything else is just learning and application. And so sometimes what happens, I want to push them far forward so that when they go back down to the skill, like let's say they're working on learning the staff, I'll put hands just so that it seems harder, so that when they put one staff down, this seems easier. But so often what happens when I give them a move that's beyond their skill set, they pull it off because they're not expecting themselves to be able to do it, so they don't get in their own way. And all of a sudden they pull off something that's just matrix level, and they're like, what just happened? Like, that makes no sense whatsoever. And it's like, yeah, but here's the thing. It doesn't make any sense, but did you just do the move? Yeah, cool. Wasn't reasonable, but you're already there. Let's go figure out why that happened. And that gets really fun, because once you experience yourself pulling off an undeniably Jedi level skill, you're like, okay, it's in there. I know I can do it. So now it's just filling in the blanks. It's no longer a question of can I do it? It's can I repeat it upon command? And that's the moment I live for, because people's eyes literally light up and they're like, whoa, I just did that. And that confidence stays with you forever. And you know that if you can do that, you can do anything. And I really honestly believe that we're capable of such great things. And once we get our mind state right, and understand the hardware that we already have installed, we're all just going to rocket forward. I think there is going to be, from a very Western psychology perspective, I think there is going to be a mass awakening as all these people learn how to level up and teach other people how to level up and make a whole local scene out of being helpful rather than just stacking up cash in your Ferrari.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, return to the deeper values and ethics that lie at the core of what it means to be a living being and care for each other, and get rid of the the old programming and the old program systems that have been sort of keeping a grip on our belief systems and on our feedback systems, and establishing new programs, establishing new neuro pathways that enable us to have more of the experience and create more of what we actually want and feel more of what we want in the world. And, you know, when we get down to the core of all of this, it's really about creating a connection inside of your being to who you truly are and what you're here to do. And the applications of feedback loop apply, as Ryan was saying, not only to spinning a staff, but to this concept and the awareness, the cognitive belief in the self that you have the ability to do anything that you can imagine, that you are capable of literally anything. And you don't even have to necessarily have imagined it yet. But your imagination is at least the limit in terms of what you can do based on what's in your actual conscious cognitive mind program. And you can break those limits and even go beyond those and experience things that you didn't even know that you could do, which can expand, again, your imaginative possibilities. In the flow of movement and in the experience of what I call martial arts. And you said a few times in this session, Riff, that I'm not a martial artist, never studied martial arts. I just have to say that's complete BS, because a martial artist is someone who applies movement as an art form. It's someone who applies the actual expression of the body, the martial expression, towards an art. And also, you know, that then applies to many, many different areas of interconnection with other people and with your life, right? And so when we're talking about the physics of martial arts, what we're getting at here is that how a martial art occurs, how a movement occurs, how a certain kind of interaction with another person occurs, how defending yourself occurs, is a deeper process of interlinking and recognizing your belief system, what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your body's feeling, and what's going on in your body. And we didn't touch on feeling that much, but in what you were saying, there is an inherent reference to that, which is the actual feel of the chi moving through the body, the feel of the current flowing in your body. And you experience that emotionally, energy moving wise, from a shift from a state of fear or anxiety or I can't do this, to the experience of, oh, wow, I'm surprised, I feel joy, I feel exhilaration, I feel excitement of I can do this. And you notice that in the body, it's the same kind of visceral experience that the move from I can't do this, I'm afraid, is to I can do this, I am able to do this, I am doing this. That shift that goes on in the mind and the way that that affects the body, you also can experience on an emotional level, though it might shift a little bit more slowly, because you might still be feeling that fear for a minute until you actually get that pop. And when you have that pop, or you have that movement that suddenly lets you know completely that, yes, this is true, and that you are capable of doing this new thing, then solving this new mystery and covering this new aspect of yourself, the experience is chi, current flowing through your body. You get chills, you have goosebumps all over, your head starts tingling, you start feeling sparkles moving up your spine, you get super hot and highly heated, and your face feels flushed, like as if you just did something really embarrassing, but you just suddenly know and feel that you are alive, that you are full of magic, that you are full of energy. And in the process of practicing martial arts, if you go into this kind of work, there are some really amazing forms and training that you can do to develop the capacity to just get into that state. Tai Chi is one of them. And Tai Chi is actually my favorite form because at the heart of Tai Chi, there's only a very few very simple things that form the core that enable you to do unlimited amounts of things. And that is about a stillness that's going on in your mind and a slowness that's allowing you to be very aware of each movement that's happening in your body, and a breath that's feeling how energy and current is going and traveling through your arms, through your legs, up your spine and down your face and down to your dantian. And simple principles, being suspended from above, like you're hanging, moving from your core, what they call belly button nose, where your belly button and your nose are going the same direction. Sinking the weight, letting yourself feel weight sink between your legs with each move that you do. And these very simple principles, beautiful hands is another one, are basically marker points to put your body and your mind into a state where you are being sensitive to how it feels to have flow of energy move through you. And as you become more sensitive to how it feels to have a flow of chi move into your arm, even just the not thinking and just doing the form in the way that it's done, you will, as you do this, begin to experience the feeling and expression of the chi coming into your hand, the heat filling up your hand, the tingles start to form. And that's the pop in Tai Chi, where suddenly you have a proof of this actual energetic experience that's going on inside of your body. And that same unlocking experience of experiencing energy in your body, or of experiencing your body do things you did not know you could do, or experiencing the fact that you just said, I'm going to do this, and you just did it, and that sort of achieving process of crossing that threshold, all of those are at the heart of the physics of martial arts. That is truly how we develop the art form of crafting an experience in our minds, our imagination, opening ourselves up to something new, repeating a practice until we get it. Like those pieces are the pathways towards opening your body as an art form and actually developing that art of movement inside of yourself. And that's really the core of what we wanted to get to today, is that you can unlock these different facets inside of your body. And there are different ways to do it. But I personally, I love your methods, Ryan. And I just think that, that it's so powerful for people to remember their capacity to actually, dive into that experience and feel it with their bodies and tell themselves, you can do it, and then do it, right? Just saying that, the feedback loop piece is so powerful.
Yeah. Well, and that's where the light sword comes in, because there's such a deep admiration and appreciation for that tool because of all the movies, and it is the flaming sword of light at the gates of Eden, and everyone loves angel symbology and all of that. And so the reason why we focus on that tool is because it's fun.
Yeah.
And we want to get people to explore taking themselves to their next level in a way that's super enjoyable. And so what I would like to invite people to, because I know there's a lot of people out there who, like myself, have no interest in getting punched in the face. I don't know. Like, you can see my nose apparently thinks all the action is over here somewhere. It's headed so I'd like to invite people to all that stuff that Adam was just talking about. That can be explored safely and enjoyably, because we start you off with a very padded, lightweight trainer, and then you can work your way up to the light, which oddly enough is heavier. So everything that he was talking about, you can experience, you can self-induce that in your backyard with a stick.
Mm-hmm.
And so those moments where you feel the power coursing through you, your hands are literally like, they're glowing with energy to the point where you can almost see it. That absolutely does happen. And you don't necessarily need 20 years on Shaolin Mountain to get there, because I've had a couple experiences where something came over me and I did the best passes of my life. Like, as far as spinning tools, super fast, super complex, it was like I stopped doing it. It was like the staff came alive in my hand and I was hanging on for dear life on the outside of a roller coaster. And I came down from that. It was just like, what just happened?
Mm.
And at the time, I was really broke down, destitute, despair. And it just gave me this feeling of like, okay, if I've got that in me, maybe I can get through this. Maybe I can push harder. And that's what I would love for people to experience through Kung Flow, which, in answer to the question that just popped up, the whole system is up online for free, because we're going to make our money from selling the tools, so that way we can give away the training, and we want to do that in order to reduce the resistance and barrier to entry. Because
just share with us the website URL again.
kungflow.com. And Adam, I've got something you haven't seen yet.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that, man.
Yeah, you are, because don't say what this is yet, but you know what that is. Watch this. This is happening. This is news to Adam, by the way. He and I have been friends forever, and he knows what I've been going through to get this thing built. So this is our training sword, which also becomes a staff pretty easy. And this thing is going to be super cushy, lightweight. If you should have an unscheduled interaction with your forehead, it won't hurt at all. And just something I want to throw out there for people: when you're learning staff, don't learn on a weapon. Do not learn on a combat staff. Learn on something lightweight, padded, because what happens is that when you're spinning a weapon, the part of you that has 600,000 years of evolution that says don't hit yourself with a stick, that kicks on, and you spend more time protecting yourself from getting hit than you do analyzing the move. So again, the computer analogy, 40% of your available processing power is being siphoned away by the fear of getting hit. Think of that, a browser window that is siphoning away your available processing power. So when you use lightweight padded stuff, it shuts down those unnecessary superfluous windows, and you can allot full force to learning. So this thing is currently in the product prototyping process. I don't know exactly when they'll be out, but it'll be soon. And this thing, oh my God, folks, this thing is so much fun. Because it's all padded and cushiony, you get to pull off these matrix level moves super fast, and there's no consequence if you make a mistake. It bounces off you, you drop it, you pick it back up. And then we'll also have a light up version shortly after that. And it's going to be military spec build, which means you can drop it off a bridge and it won't break. And nice. Yeah, right?
So, love it, man. Love it. Thank you. Amazing. So kungflow.com. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Riff. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody who came in for the live session here today and showed up on video. And for those of you not on video, thank you so much for being with us today. Again, we have our also 13-day roundtable session tomorrow. So if you guys want to come into that, connect with each other more, get to know other guardians, sit in circle, share experiences, ideas, and concepts, and follow up from today. That will be happening tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, as always, the day after the Pulse session. And Riff, thanks again so much, man. I'd love to have you back. And if you ever want to do anything for the Guardian Alliance, like I said, we'd love to have you share a course for the Guardian Alliance at some point. But we know where we can go and find some of your work now at kungflow.com. thank you guys again so much for joining us. Such a pleasure as always to see you. And thanks for being in the Guardian Alliance. We will see you again next time in the next Pulse training session. All right. Blessed be. Aloha keakua in Lakesh. And take care, everyone.
Stay lit.